Um, Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Smith. I am the Associate Director of Sales. Lisa, thank you for that introduction. Ryan, thanks for warming up the crowd. Really appreciate it. So as Lisa mentioned, today I am here with Carl Johnson, one of our esteemed Tech Helpline analysts, to chat with you about Tech Helpline, your free member benefit through BCAR. Tech Helpline is owned and operated by Florida Realtors, and we have been around for over 25 years now, which is wild to think. And we are here to help you with any of your technology needs. It's really that simple. If you're calling about things like smartphone, tablet, printer, scanner, networking, apps, or your laptop, we got you covered. And it does not have to be work related. This can be items at your home. This can be things that you're dealing with in your spare time. As I mentioned, we are owned and operated by Florida Realtors. We have been since inception. In fact, this member benefit started as a member benefit for Florida Realtors members, and we are based out of Orlando, Florida. We have about 25 Tech Helpline analysts who help our members move through these technical difficulties, and they have a wide array of experience guaranteeing experts across the board in all different sorts of computer issues, technical issues, and advice, including analysts who are well-versed in Apple and certified in Apple as well. So let's get into some of the nitty-gritty. Carl, I'm going to be pinging you a little bit on this point right here. So just want to kind of touch on some things that we help with before we get into the top call generators for your particular association. So, as you see, we have several different categories that we assist with: software, hardware, and networking. Most things fall into one of those categories. So as you can see, a lot of these icons are things that we are all dealing with all day, every day, and they can really give us headaches. Carl, I know that printers tend to give me pretty massive headaches. I don't know if they are just built to fail or what, but I'm sure that you have some insight on that.
Yeah, almost it seems like that way. It really does feel that way sometimes. But what I will say, a lot of times the issues with printers are how we connect to them, right?
Mhm.
Again, you'd think it's just boom, boom. We're in the modern, it's 2026. It should be that easy. A lot of times it's not. And it all just depends on what device you're printing from.
Mhm.
I do think here, in the future, maybe in the next, 4 or 5 years or so, we can get to that good point of where it is just boom, you turn it on, it works, it does everything you need it to do, but yeah, it's still not quite there. You still need
Yeah.
printer drivers, you still need to do a bunch of different setups here. And then that's before we even talk about, potential hardware failures or things like your kind of printer heads kind of getting too much ink in them. There's a ton of issues that can go wrong with these kind of everyday printers we use, and even the business class printers aren't perfect either.
Mhm.
So even if you go and spend $15,000 on a printer, it's going to have some problems eventually.
Yeah.
That's just how they are built.
Yep. They are built so that they can just continue to need assistance and need more things that we need to purchase for those for those printers. But that is a major issue that Carl, you and your team help with, that I know we get a ton of calls about from Bucks County members and across the country as well. So to touch just on a few other things, and then I'm going to get into how you can reach us. We have hardware issues like data transfers. If you're having challenges with your email and you want to merge emails or download contacts or move contacts from one system to another, we can assist you with that. And then with networking, some of the really common issues have to do with Wi-Fi. I know that Wi-Fi can be a real challenge sometimes, setting up new networks. Same with Bluetooth. I know those can be a little bit funky, which we'll get into as well. So here are more of the reasons why we help that you may not think of right off the top of your head. Like, for instance, getting your iTunes library organized or setting up a Spotify playlist. Carl, funny enough, I thought most people were pretty well versed in this, maybe because I'm a big music nerd, but not everyone is, and a lot of folks just don't even know where to start.
100%. Yeah, we can always say go to Spotify, go to Apple Music. People don't know how
Right.
to start a playlist there or how to really use it and utilize it the right way. And then of course you still have your people that have created these giant catalogs of iTunes libraries. When
Hmm.
you had to go and purchase that song for $1.99, right? We can still help you out manage and maintain and organize these kind of libraries and just music in general. And then of course any sort of troubleshooting you may have with it. But yeah, it's one of those things where we're trying to push people more towards the streaming stuff now, just because none of these computer makers or these, Apple or anybody really wants you to have the music locally anymore. They're really trying to push everyone away from owning your own music and paying that monthly or yearly subscription cost to their services.
That's very true. And I love that your team helps with that. I think that's a major issue. And for everyone watching, I neglected to say, if you do have any questions as we're talking, feel free to chime in the chat. We have Heli from our team monitoring the chat. And at the end, we are going to open this up to live questions. So if you have a specific question about one of your device or need product advice or anything like that, we're going to help you at the end here with that particular question. Another kind of media related thing, Carl, that I love that we help with that's not very well known is casting. Like casting is a big deal and a great way to be able to, utilize your phone almost as a remote control. Can you explain casting if someone here on the call doesn't really know what that means?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, casting, let's just say you do have a video on your phone, right? You want to share it around. As long as you have some sort of a smart TV around you or some sort of smart monitor, smart device that allows the casting, it's no big deal at all. You can easily turn that on with any kind of modern smartphone. And then what I love to show people as well, on your laptops, you can wirelessly project your screen to your TV as well. So if you're in a meeting, let's say in an unfamiliar office, right? If you know they have a smart TV right in there, go, hey, can I cast that screen? On Windows, you press the Windows button and P at the same time, and that will give you the option to kind of discover and look for more screens out there in that local area that you're in. So it's super convenient. I would say it's still it needs a little work. It can be a little laggy depending on your connection.
Hmm.
But again, it sure beats having a long cable going 30, 40 feet across the room or whatever it may be. That and again, as long as your connection is maintained and stable, it feels like it's one to one. You have a cable plugged in.
Yeah, good point. And I know a lot of realtor members travel often. So I have noticed in hotels and, Airbnbs, of course, but in hotels, they're starting to have the casting capabilities on some of the TVs. And I mean, unless you want to watch commercials and browse all day, casting can be, it's a tool that you use to kind of feel more at home while you're on the road, I guess. So,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
hmm.
I cast so much. I could not tell you when I'm
Me
traveling for
too.
work or anything.
Hmm.
I'm trying to cast as much as I can. I want to avoid all the commercials and all that. I'm a little spoiled, I guess.
Me
I
too.
can't handle it anymore. I feel like give me what I need right now in front of me.
I know. We were actually at my house casting an episode of Australian Survivor, and they had like a built-in commercial into the video, and I felt a little bamboozled there, Carl. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed in that. So I love that we help with that. Another one, and Carl, this is my favorite, is parental controls on gaming devices. Okay, so everyone, we had a member from another association contact us about putting the parental controls on their son's Xbox because their son got in trouble. So this is, something you may not think to reach out to us about, but you can call us and we'll assist with that.
Yeah, and she's still calling in. I mean, that was 10 plus years ago. I actually just
Wow.
spoke to her 2 or 3 months ago. She's
Wow.
still calling in, asking us for help. And it isn't just limited to gaming devices as well. All these smartphones have the parental controls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you have, a kid you need to monitor or maintain, I mean, you could set specific app timers. All right, you get an hour on your social media apps. Okay, you
Good
get two
call.
hours on, email or whatever app they may be using or wanting to use there. So there's a
Hmm.
ton of devices now that have these controls that you can kind of manage and maintain, especially if they're just spending too much time on those. Because I'll be guilty. I was a little before the smartphone era, but man, I needed one of those limits. Once I got one, I needed it bad because I was in high school. Oh, I couldn't stop looking down. That was my priority at the time.
No, I totally understand that. And yes, that is great. So let's talk about the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, because I think that's another one that people don't necessarily know, what that is and what that can look like. And if you're someone that's traveling and you rent cars, that is something that, can be utilized.
Yeah, I would never go back to a car without Apple
Hmm.
CarPlay. I'm an
Hmm.
Apple user. I will admit, two hands up. I like the easier phones of the two, but
Yes.
yeah, I wouldn't go back. I would say I think they started around 2020, 2021, kind of
Hmm.
making these a standard in most of these more modern cars here. Um, it like whenever I hop in my car, right? Boom, my Apple Maps pops up instantly, my Apple
Yes.
Music pops up. I don't have to do anything, right? It's a way bigger screen. It's less, I don't need to put my hands on my phone or anything like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And then again, it still fully works with your kind of AI automation, right? So Siri on iPhones, I can just say, hey, Siri, send a text or call whoever. It's already doing it for me. So
Yes.
it's very much just like I said, I would not go back. It's kind of like some of the older technology in these computers. You can't pay me to go back to it. I'm too spoiled now. I love this stuff. It's just such a convenience to the
Yeah.
point of where I have my grandparents, my parents going, "Hey, let me borrow your car. I want to use that."
That's
Again, the
funny.
the maps alone, I think, is
I
a
agree.
hands down just no brainer. I would not get a car that does not have one of these features in it in the modern age. Just makes no sense to me.
So, Carl, let me show you my age.
Mhm.
So, I went when I was driving from using an atlas in the car to printing out MapQuests. Who are my MapQuest printers out there? I mean, I know. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Like, tried to explain that to a younger colleague the other day, and she was like, "What?" To then having it on my phone, right? Then you have it on the device, and now we can hook it up to the car. So I do feel like safety wise, we definitely have made some advancements. Because
Oh,
me with the MapQuest directions, it was not very
and don't
safe on the
forget those
road.
little Garmins, they had,
Oh
right? That
yes,
if you didn't
yes,
update them, you would just run into a road that doesn't exist anymore. That was
not
a
great.
very big problem we had.
Yes, I actually did not know too much about that. Wow, that's intense. So Carl, something that's not on this, and before we change slides here, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we assist with AI because I know that that is a hot topic right now, and you were just explaining to me yesterday that we do get some calls that are AI questions. And just if you could just talk a little bit more about, the types of calls we're typically getting from, Bucks County members or otherwise, and how we assist with that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first thing I always try to say to people when they're using AI, right? AI is a tool. It's not going to do everything for you. And if you do ask it to do everything for you, I promise you it's going to mess something up.
Hmm.
It's just not quite there yet. Again, 10 years from now, I don't know. The possibilities are endless, right?
They
But
are.
as in its current state, any kind of public one that you can go out, purchase and pay for, it's not going to take your job. It's not going to do your job for you.
Hmm.
But what we primarily help and assist people with is getting it to be that right tool for you,
Hmm.
using it more like a hammer rather than it being yourself and taking
Hmm.
over your position here, right? So and that's why I really stress to people it is a great tool to use, especially for things like marketing. You need to come up with a two paragraph blurb here, right? You could spend 3 hours knocking it out yourself, or you can give the AI kind of some summary items you want it to go over here, and then boom, you have that 2 3 hour process, and it'll probably be better than what you would come up with. That's where AI we see is excelling very much right now. Again, I would always say go back into it, change it into your own words, make it your own kind of
Hmm.
production here, right? But that's primarily what we try to help people out with is kind of building these correct prompts and these correct ways of asking and utilizing the AI to achieve the goal that you're looking for, right? Again, we're not going to try to help you automate your entire life with AI. I will say we're going to draw the line somewhere right there.
Hmm.
But with that being said, we will help you use the AI. We will help you get towards that goal that you're trying to achieve here. There's nothing that I would say is too far fetched. I mean,
Hmm.
just to give you guys a little insight on some personal projects I've worked on, I have a little clock on the wall behind me here that I've personally made with the little Raspberry Pi computer, and I'm not a coder. I'll be the first one to admit that, but I used AI to help me learn that. I can
Wow.
understand certain things of it, but AI was a great tool for me to use to kind of build out a visualization of the clock. It has
Hmm.
me inject in like NBA scores scrolling across the screen. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Weather. It tells me, if it's thunderstorming, raining, the temperature, and all that for my local area. So AI is such a great tool that there's so many ways to utilize it here. There's no way a realtor can't benefit somehow, some way from it. It is a very useful tool that I feel everybody should start learning how to use.
Hmm. And you mentioned, Carl, that you could help members identify which AI platform might be best for that type of project.
Absolutely, yeah. In a lot of this is just trial and error, right?
Hmm.
And I would tell people that you need to try out every AI first and figure out which one kind of works best for you.
Yeah.
Again, Google for me, Google Gemini's AI, great for photos. You want to create a crazy photo of you want to play a prank on a family friend and say, "Oh, I'm being attacked by a giant crab." I'm telling you, Gemini will be able to generate that, and make it look like you're running away from it and sprinting away.
That's funny.
Again, that's kind of some of the personal use you could use for these things as well. But then you have things like Claude by I believe that's OpenAI. I'll double check on that. But Claude is one of those ones I absolutely use for programming, right?
Hmm.
Programming and those little bit more pointed questions that I need better responses on, or I feel like I don't really know for certain, and I know
Hmm.
it's a little bit more technical.
Yeah.
Claude for me has been a little bit more successful, and then everyone knows about ChatGPT. That's kind of your most famous one, your kind of name brand, I would say, out there. It's kind of
Hmm.
in the middle of everything. It can do a little bit of all, right? So
Hmm.
ChatGPT is definitely a very versatile one as well.
That is awesome, Carl. Thank you so much for explaining that. So, just a little bit more insight into Tech Helpline before we go on to the top call generators for the association. So, kind of touched on a few of these. We have all friendly US based analysts. You are available to call or email or chat with us 6 days a week. You do have a private dedicated phone number that is only available to Bucks County members. And we do provide service in English or Spanish. And then if you want to go ahead, this is the information on how you can reach Tech Helpline. And I will share this again towards the end of our presentation today. But you can see here you have your dedicated telephone number. You can either call us, which most members reach us via phone. And, to be honest, it's typically the easier method in which to get your question answered because then you can fully explain what you're trying to ask. But we do also offer live chat support if you want to chat us in. The technician will tell you if the question is too big for chat, so they may ask you to call in if you're available, if it gets a little bit convoluted there. And then if it's after hours or on Sunday, you can connect with us via email and email us at support@techhelpline.com. And then the next business day, a member of our team will get back to you. And what that does when you email us is you are automatically put into our system. A case is generated for you automatically. So we have a really strong paper trail that you called in. So all that to say, Carl, I want to start getting into, I'm going to stop my screen share here, and I want to get into a little bit of our top call generators for this association. So one of the top reasons why Bucks County members are contacting us are hardware issues. Primarily some issues with printers and scanners. So since we already talked about printers, maybe we could talk a little bit about scanner setup assistance and what that might look like.
Oh, definitely. Well, a lot of printers nowadays do have those scanners built in, but you got to
It's all
remember
in
too,
one. Yeah, good
yeah,
point. Mm-hmm.
they have those scan snaps, which I don't know if many people here are familiar with. They're kind of smaller scanners here, a little bit more mobile. You got to take them on the go with you and
Oh,
whatnot.
cool. So
Yeah,
that's probably great for realtors. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. And I
awesome.
would tell any realtor, hey, if you need a scanner, you're traveling all the time, right? Get you a
Mm-hmm.
little scan snap. I mean, maybe the size of, I don't know, like a roll of some aluminum foil. That's about the size of it, but you kind of extend it out here. You put your papers in there, boom, just shoots it right through and it scans it onto whatever device you have. A lot of these can even wirelessly scan now too, to even things like mobile devices. So there's a lot of utility you can find with some of these mobile scanners, and
Mm-hmm.
and in general, scanners are pretty much like a printer, right? They're great when they work. When they don't work, that's when you start wanting to pull your hair out and everything. And I would always tell people to call us. And one thing I feel like we should have mentioned a little bit more a little bit earlier here is that we will remote in with you on your devices, right? So we
Thank
can
you,
remote
Carl.
in on your cell phone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop computer. We do have the ability to remote in and kind of
Mm-hmm.
not only just see it with you, help you resolve that issue without you, again, if you're not an IT nerd like me, that's totally fine. We don't expect you to do everything on your own. The only limitations we have there is if you have an internet connection or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
really the biggest determination factor there, if we could remote in. But again, scanners, like I said, I think of a scanner is just a printer to me. There's no difference for me very much at all. Maybe the results are different on your end, but the connection is the exact same. The problems typically are the exact same. They really, I would actually say scanners can be a little bit easier just because they don't have to deal with ink and all that. They last a little bit longer if you do buy an individual kind of scanner like I was mentioning there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. And just real quick, folks, I just wanted to show you in regard to remoting in. So when you do contact us, as Carl said, we don't expect you to be able to fix the issue. And we don't even expect you to understand us walking you through fixing the issue. So a great way that we can serve you in an efficient and quick manner is to remote into your system. Of course, if you give us permission to do so. And if you do choose to do that, it's really super easy. Our Tech Helpline analyst will just ask you to go to techhelpline.com. And then in the corner right here, there's a little icon that says remote access. And when you hit that button, a program just kind of automatically downloads and then provides you with a username and password that you'll provide to the tech. You can see that the tech is in your system during that time. And then you can also see when the tech disconnects from that system. You get a big pop up that says this session has ended. So there's no weird thing going on behind the scenes where we remain connected or anything like that. And getting connected is super quick and easy. So I don't think I've ever heard anyone, express concerns over remoting in or anything like
And just
that.
to further go on about that, we
Yeah,
use a quick support version. So every time you do connect in with us, it generates you a unique password, right?
love that.
So once we disconnect, that password gets regenerated again. Unless you just read it off to somebody and then they have that ID you have above it, there's no possible way they can reconnect with you. So
Hmm.
we try to maintain that for privacy reasons. Again, as much as we would love to help you with your system, we don't want to stay there. We got other calls we got to handle. Other people have problems.
Yes.
Our priority is not being in your system, only to fix your issue and to get out of there.
And to move on. Yep. No, I totally agree. So another challenge that a lot of Bucks County members have been facing, is their computer not recognizing external devices.
Hmm.
What's that
Oh,
all about, Carl?
yeah, I mean, it could be as simple as the cable just isn't properly fully connected in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could
That's
be
gotten
as
me before. Yeah.
well, and it could be as complicated as, the cable's actually broken and we need to identify that, right? So there's a lot of things on Windows and Mac that you can do to identify that. In my opinion, really easily. Probably not for y'all. You need to know where to go. It just takes time and experience, but there's a lot of nooks and crannies on these computers that give us hints and give us ideas of why certain things aren't connecting the same way that they should.
Hmm.
Even to the degree of, this isn't a Tech Helpline question, but I have a personal friend who called me up, the other night about 10, 11 o'clock. He's trying to plug in his USB drive, and he knows I work for a tech company. He goes, man, why isn't this working? Turns out his solid state drive there had failed. Right. But what we were able to do, because again, we were able to determine, all right, the computer's connecting it, the computer's detecting it. We just can't read the data. We were able to download some free software there and start the recovery process of all that data. Even though it's a failed drive, you could still recover data from a lot of these things. So
Oh,
there's
cool.
there's a lot of utility that you can have. And again, your connection issue might not be a connection issue. It might be a device specific, hardware failure of some sorts.
Hmm.
There's so many examples out here I have over the years that we've handled it, that I would just tell you, don't bash your head against the wall, going crazy about it. Call us and get that support now when you need it. Not 2 days, 2 weeks, a year, whatever your local shop will tell you. Get that support now with us so we can identify and at least get you down the right path if we can't absolutely resolve it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, I think a misnomer for a lot of us non-techie people, myself included, is that things like cables last forever. Like I often don't think about the life cycle of some of these things that we use. And I mean, even down to laptops, I know sometimes we'll get calls, or desktops, we'll get calls from people frustrated because something's going on with their laptop or their desktop. And, it's 9 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some people call me about troubleshooting Windows 93, and
Oh,
I have
wow.
to politely explain to them I was born
Yeah.
in 96.
Yeah. Oh
It's
my
it's older
gosh.
than me. I'm probably not the right one to help you out with this. Not only that, it doesn't. There's no way it connects to the internet. I know that's a fact, but
Right.
that does happen, right? Age is a
Yes.
thing. The good thing I would say is we're finally kind of transitioning out of these older hardware that you're seeing more and more
Hmm.
in these laptops, desktops, cell phone devices. That's a lot of reason why when you are using that 10-year-old computer compared to your smartphone, you go, man, why is my phone so much faster? It's just age of technology, right?
Hmm.
A lot of these older computers have these things called hard disk drives in them. I refuse to use a computer anymore with a hard disk drive,
Hmm.
unless it's just external extra storage space. It's just so slow. I'm waiting on the computer more than it's waiting on me. The computer should always be waiting
Yes.
on me, in my opinion. It should never be me waiting on it. And these older devices, pre 2020, I would say 2020 is about the year where I don't know everyone started working from home, so they had to really start getting the hardware right. Pre 2020, if you have a computer from then, almost certainly you probably have some older tech in it. If you didn't spin an arm and a leg on it, or your firstborn child, it probably has that older technology in it still. So we can definitely try to see and help you get that older technology working faster as well. That is not out of the realm of possibilities, but it is a diminishing return battle, right? You will always be facing that age of it. Like a hard disk drive is very much like a record player. That's my best kind of way I can give a description for it. It scratches the data into an actual spinning disk. All these modern computers and cell phones use these things called solid state drives. They don't, it's all electronic, signals at the speed of light and things like that. It's so much faster and more efficient.
Wow.
They do have an end of life date as well. They will fail eventually.
Hmm.
But I mean, we're talking from 5 minutes to 30 seconds on turning your computer on. That's invaluable to me when it
Yeah.
comes to changing that amount of time you're sitting there waiting to get started on work rather than the computer,
Hmm.
dictating your time.
No, exactly. That's a really good point. And just as an aside, Carl, I actually have a record player and I love listening to records. Okay. So
No,
I'm
there's
just
nothing wrong
old
with records.
school. I'm just old school. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Um, Folks, before we move on to some other or common questions from your association, does anyone here on the call right now have any questions for us about something we've talked about so far? I know that some things have been going on in the chat. We dropped the dedicated number in there. Ryan's info is in there from his chat at the beginning. So if no questions, we will move on. Okay, so some other major issues for Bucks County Association of Realtors members, Carl. Um, browser issues, including clearing cache and cookies. And Carl, I don't know if you're able to like show us how to do that. If not, I don't mean to put you on the spot. That's fine too. I just feel like clearing our cache and clearing our cookies can be such a an important step to kind of freeing up space and moving things along. Just as a my for instance, I learned how to clear my cache on Instagram, like on that
Mhm.
app. And because sometimes it can get a little glitchy if I am posting a lot of content or, I just haven't done it in quite some time. So I know that little trick for Instagram actually works. And I know that that may be true for browsers as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, whenever you go to a website and you know what it looks like, right? You've been
Hmm.
to it 100 times,
Yeah.
right? And then you go to it today, it's not looking right. Something's up. It's just a big white
Right.
screen, or
Yeah.
just graphics are missing, right? You need to
Yes.
clear your browsing data for that website or for
Hmm.
your entire kind of browser here. Now, what I try to warn people though, right? And this is the thing people don't really consider when they're clearing their browsing data.
It
When you
logs you
clear your
out.
browsing data on computers, and on when we're talking about, Google Chrome, Safari, Microsoft
Yes.
Edge, Firefox, any of these big kind of browsers that you commonly use on computers or cell phones, when you clear that browsing data, it signs you out of every website you've ever logged into, right? So if you don't have that password saved, I'm going to warn you every single time I go, are your passwords saved? Do you have them
Yes.
somewhere stored, right? Because if you don't, this is not going to feel good. You're
No.
not going to have a good time. And even if you don't, that's totally fine, right? What you could do, you can clear your browsing data for individual websites. Of course, it always varies on what browser you're using, what device you're on. But generally speaking, right, you could go and say, all right, for, the techhelpline.com, right, the graphics aren't displaying correctly. Let me clear my browsing data for that.
Hmm.
You could definitely do it. And I would love to show you guys an example. And actually, I've been um, ironically enough here, let me share my screen with y'all just to show you. I've been definitely kind of slacking on my end when it comes to clearing my browsing data. So let me pull this up here for y'all.
Then you're a perfect example.
Yeah, so look at my Tech Helpline website here, right? You
Oh
can
yeah,
kind
look
of
at
see that
that.
when we looked
Yes.
at Jessica having it, she had the actual graphics here, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
that was there. But when your display issues happen like this, you can actually see that, all right, we need to probably clear our browsing data, right? So you can always, of course, on Google Chrome, go up here to the top left. You can see cookies and site data. You can manage all this stuff from right here,
I
or you
never
can
do
kind of
that.
do that bigger kind of more
Yes.
the more kind of universal way of going to your three dots up here in the top right, delete browsing data. You can also, if you see over here, control shift and delete, that'll allow you to do it. But what I always tell people, right, you'll open up this big list here, and again, you want to always make sure you have it on all time, because if we're going to clear it, let's clear it out, right? Let's
Yeah.
not do it for the last hour, the last 24 hours. You could see here cookies and other site data. I have 1,121 sites, that I've gone to since I've last cleared my browsing,
Wow. Yeah.
data.
Hmm.
And again, it's something where you do want to do it. I would say maybe not on a regular basis, but you want to kind of keep up with it, right? It's
Hmm.
it's good to do, because every time you go to a website, you're downloading the website. And again, it stores it somewhere locally here on your device, and then it references that so it loads faster. So if we
Hmm.
delete my browsing data here, uh, do a little do a little dance, wait for it to load. I feel comfortable closing it and then relaunching.
Hmm.
That's gonna be I've got to remember to sign back into everything later. But then we'll
Sorry,
go back
Carl.
here.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's totally fine. But
Yep.
as you see
Look at
now,
that.
there we go. It's fixed. So you
Hmm.
can see that it's that easy, right? A lot of
Hmm.
times these issues we think they're going to be super complicated.
Yeah.
A lot of our calls are very brief, and it's issues like this that are minor inconveniences, but they add up. They keep
Yeah.
on adding up, adding up, adding up, and then you finally get to that breaking point and you go, all right, I don't know what to do. Call us.
Hmm.
We will be
Hmm.
able to show you how to do things like this easily and quickly to resolve it, so you can get back into that right workflow and get back into to doing the things that you need to be doing to better yourself and better your work and your realtor related kind of services here, and even your personal stuff. But
Hmm.
that's just a very quick example of you know how clearing browsing data could just make an immediate change right there. And thank you guys for letting me do that. I've been
Mhm,
procrastinating on that for a while.
mhm.
I'm an IT guy. I just work, I roll with it, for the most part. I'm using an old headset and everything. I like to reuse and repurpose things and maybe procrastinate on some of those easier things. I know how to fix it. I know what the graphics looks like. It's fine for me. It's not breaking anything on my end. So don't be like me though. Call us instead and and just help us help you.
No, I totally agree. And to your point, Carl, these issues and are frustrating and they do compound. And then you're in front of a client and you got to get something done and you need help. So just do it. Try to do it before that point. Give us a call. I wanted to let you all know that our average hold time right now is around a minute and 30 seconds. So, sometimes you may get in much faster than that. Sometimes during peak times of the day, it might be a little bit longer depending on the queue, but that's our average hold time. So, that's really not that long. You can contact us in between phone calls, in between meetings, showings, whatever you need so that we can help you out. Don't forget to drop those questions in the chat, and I'm just going to go ahead and move on. One of our other big challenges for Bucks County members are email. So things like, and I'll just let you choose what you touch on, Carl, password resets, Outlook not syncing, emails not sending or receiving, setting up email on new devices. I know that can be clunky sometimes to do it yourself. Do you have any insight on any of those items?
Oh, hey, listen, I could talk all day long. Like, how much time do we have, right? We could do a whole class on it and everything. I could go on and on about email issues. Again, anything ranging from Gmail to Comcast to Yahoo to AOL, to Outlook and Outlook New, Outlook Classic. There's so many wide range of email issues that can happen here.
Mm-hmm.
One that comes to immediate mind, right? Right now, there is an issue with those kind of people who use Comcast or Xfinity email addresses. If anyone's out there that
Oh,
does use that and they use Outlook, if you're using an older version of Outlook right now, we are noticing that they are not working anymore. And that's
oh,
because
wow.
Xfinity and Comcast, they do not generate what's called app passwords. So these newer apps for Outlook and things like that can't authenticate, or sorry, excuse me, the older apps for Outlook and so much can't authenticate here because none of these services want you to use your real password anymore. When you use your real password, you're storing it actually there somewhere locally on your device, right? So if you were in that result of getting hacked or getting, compromised in some degree, they could steal your information. They would
Mm-hmm.
have your actual main password here. And that's why a lot of these other services, Google especially, is moving towards using things like app passwords, right? And even then, I'll tell you, app passwords are kind of on the way out. They're moving everything over to the stuff called OAuth or zero auth here. Basically, when you go to sign in something, it says, "Hey, would you like to sign in with Google, or with whatever
Yes.
service you're using?" And it
Mm-hmm.
takes you directly to their website and makes you log in through their website first, rather than you entering all that information and storing it somewhere locally on your computer that maybe you don't know where to look for, but a bad actor,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who has bad intentions, right, would know where to look for that, grab it, and then use that for whatever they want to do with it. So that's one of the big issues we see right now. But again, just kind of elaborate a little bit more. People need help setting vacation, automatic responders,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, general issues with just connecting to their email, right? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of our Gmail free users, I'm a Gmail user, right? I love Gmail, but I hate the way it displays stuff. They use things like labels rather than folders. There's no reason to call it anything different. They just do.
Yes.
So I'm a big fan of Outlook with things like Gmail or Yahoo or any of those, just because it kind of organizes myself a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many different wide range of possibilities that even changing the way things look on your email, setting up certain rules, right? Deleting emails in mass. There's so many different things that you could do here. And for our other Gmail users out there, a lot of times you'll hit your free storage limit. That's because you're actually, believe it or not, syncing your phone's photos to that same Gmail account. That's a very, very common call we get. They go, "Why is my Gmail over my storage limit? Why is it asking me to pay money here?" Oh, I didn't know if you knew this, but here's all 1,500 of your photos
Wow.
on Google online, which honestly, it actually can be convenient if you don't have a way to easily transfer photos from your, device to your computer. But it will make you go, man, why can't I get emails anymore? Oh, because your storage limit is full, right? So there's so many wide range of possibilities that these email clients have and issues that can occur with them.
Hmm.
I would always say just don't try to tackle it on your own. You have a great resource here. We've done this for years and years and years, and again, we are on the cutting edge, right? I just recently helped somebody out with an issue on Google Sheets that was reported 4 days ago. There's so many different changes and moving pieces in this real world that we're living in right now.
Hmm.
It's impossible for you guys to expect to be a realtor, be good at it, be marketing as well, and then also being your own IT person. That sounds like I could not imagine the amount of hats you guys already have to wear to
For
add
real.
another two or
Yes.
three on top.
Yeah, and I feel like in the realtor sphere, I mean, they are just bombarded with new tech. And as a salesperson, Carl, yeah, you've heard me say this before. I'm definitely the person in the office, like on our team, who is most like a realtor because I get so frustrated and flustered when tech gets in my way from getting a sale or serving my client or doing whatever I need to do. And I know that that's a prohibitive thing for all realtors as well because they're really bombarded. So I do appreciate that, our team is really helpful with that. And actually, I didn't talk about this at the top, but one of the biggest call generators for Bucks County is general tech advice and recommendations for new services, or new like laptops, tablets, and to everyone here, that is something that is so helpful because, like I just said, you're bombarded with all this new tech. And then there's just all this new technology that's just always coming onto the market. I mean, Carl, you just said all of these words I barely understood about I don't even remember about like how things are talking to each other. And I'm like,
Right.
wow, I mean, that is just incredible. So, when a member calls you, Carl, and
Mhm.
asks for advice, they're like, I need to get a new tablet. What do I
Mhm.
get? How does a call like that look?
Oh, well, first off, I'm smiling because I'm like, oh, this is a fun call, right? That's fun. I love shopping with people, helping them figure out the right device they need. And again, a lot of people go, oh, I need to go buy the biggest, the greatest, the latest. It costs the most amount of money.
No.
No, absolutely not, right? In certain situations, sure, you might need that, and very rarely would I say, most people need to go get the top of the line stuff here that
Right.
call us. You don't need the top of the line. It will help. It's
Hmm.
not going to hurt you. Other than your wallet, it's going to hurt your wallet for sure.
For sure.
Right. But yeah, something like a tablet, right? I would go, okay, first off, let's just see what's your price range at? Where do you want to be at? Right. I don't want to go make you go spend $1,000 if that's not what you
Mhm.
want to go spend. Because again, your newer iPads, right? You're getting into that thousand
Yeah.
around that range, right?
Wow.
But you can go kind of the Android route and go, Samsung or anybody like that. You could dramatically, I mean, we're talking 90% price decrease on this and still
Wow.
get great performance out of these devices here.
Hmm.
So that's step number one for me is asking, all right, what's our price range at? Then second, I go, how are you going to utilize it, right? What's the game plan with it? What are you trying to achieve with this, right? Do we need to use it like a laptop? Do we need to
Hmm.
just use it more like a tablet? So a lot of the questions are very pointed to how you are going to be using that device. And then from there, it's just finding the right option for you to not only work right now, to work, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or, however long you want it to last. I,
Yeah.
I want you to feel comfortable in your purchase
Hmm.
for however many years you expect to keep it before you have to buy a new one. Now, I will tell people, some of their expectations are unrealistic. I want to spend $50 and I want it to last 10 years. It's not going to happen. At least not good, right? It might
Yeah.
last 10
No.
years. You're not going to use it for 10 years. I can promise you that much. So
Hmm.
I will say we do have to temper those expectations a little bit there. But we're going to be as realistic as possible with you. Again, I just love, again, buying new tech is fun. Like
It
that's cool to
is.
me. And again, I want people to get the right deal, right? I think of it like what if one of my family members were calling in, right? Do I want them to get bad advice, or do I want to give them the advice I would give them? I
Hmm.
always try to give them the best advice possible for their situation. So again, there's always, that personal touch to it that they want to add, and things like that. And I always go for it. Let's do that, right?
Yes.
Somebody might want, and again, to kind of go off the tablets a little bit, somebody might want an all-in-one computer rather than a desktop or a laptop, right? Or they want their laptop to act like a desktop. That's something
Hmm.
I do. My laptop I'm working on right now, I have two monitors, mouse, keyboard, all that. It acts like a desktop. So for me,
Same.
there's no difference, right?
Hmm.
But again, it's that setup of it and how you plan on utilizing these devices is really how we're going to personalize it and then make it right for you and your setup here.
Hmm. Thank you, Carl. And just to share with everyone, our team does not receive like kickbacks or promotional items or literally anything for giving you product advice. They are truly just giving you their advice based upon these qualifying questions that they're going to be asking you. I think we touched upon so many of the top call generators. So I do just want to open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions that they want to drop in the chat, we would love to hear from you. I am going to highlight this screen right here to give you some ideas of questions. So these might be reasons why you want to contact us. So let's see here. If you have any questions on any of these topics, we can take your questions live right now on the call. No pressure. Lisa, I know you had mentioned that you just recently called us, so I think that's really cool.
I did. Something happened with a BitLocker, which I knew
Oh,
what it
the
meant, but
BitLocker. Okay,
yeah,
that
it was
was
a
yeah.
BitLocker,
Yeah.
and I actually had Carl, and it
Mm,
was phenomenal. But I'll be honest, I called once. It's embarrassing, but about 3 years ago, I couldn't get the camera on my laptop when I went into Zoom, and it turns out it was a new laptop, and the switch was off, but I didn't know because the
yeah.
switch was so small,
Yep. Yep.
and I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But
No.
the people at the Tech Helpline do not make you feel embarrassed. I've had them
Thank
go
you.
into my system to go through the back door. They've helped with printers,
Hmm.
and personal, like a personal printer you guys helped me with. So
Hmm.
I love it. I mean, I hope everyone on this call or you'll share it
Yes.
with the people in your offices. It is one of the top benefits that
Yes.
I see for members.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Yeah, and I think that that's really important to continue to stress. It's not just for your realtor related work. This is for anything. Something that we didn't touch upon today, smart appliances. That actually might be connected to your work. If you're in a home, you're showing and you can't figure out how to show something, send us a quick chat. Maybe we can help you while you're in that meeting with your client. It can really be that simple. And we can help you in that way. So, and then additionally, if you work for a brokerage who has a tech team already, please do not think that, this doesn't matter. We can really assist taking some of the load off of that in-house tech team for that broker. So, if you are a broker or if you work for a broker who has a dedicated tech team, they're not going to be helping you with a smart refrigerator or the parental controls on an Xbox. Like they don't have the time or resources to do that. So, that's why Tech Helpline can be a complimentary service to those items as well. So I'm just going to cruise on through real quick. One thing that I did not touch upon is you have a dedicated landing page. And I do believe it's hosted on the Bucks County website, and you can find this information right there. It's going to directly link you to chatting us, emailing us, and give you that dedicated phone number. And then additionally, let me just go back one. We do have a Tech Helpline app. So it's a super basic app, but it's a great way to remember that you have us as a member benefit. If you download the app at the Google Play or Apple Store, all it's going to do is it's going to ask you to enter your NERDS number and your name. And from there, it's going to auto-populate the Bucks County information for you, and then you'll just have that right there. So you don't have to worry about looking for us or looking up any landing page or the website or anything like that. You just launch the app, and then you can connect with with a wonderful person like Carl. So, I do see we just have a great point in the chat. Thank you, Anne Marie. And I think the overarching theme here is just let us help you. Let us help you. Let us take some of the load off. As Lisa shared, our entire team, they're not going to make you feel dumb for contacting us. We do have a question here. How do I get a QR code on my Zoom profile? See, Ryan, I told you this was a good, Ryan, I love the QR code. Okay. For everyone, we were talking about this pre-meeting because I was like, how'd you get that on there? So Carl, take it away.
Oh yeah, well, it looks like Ryan, well, when we first saw Ryan presenting here, he had it as a background, so a custom background
Yes.
that had been designed with the QR code on it. And Ryan, I would assume there that's set as your kind of profile pictures, that QR code as well, right?
That's correct.
All right. Yeah. So they just generated a QR code here, and then he simply just set it as his profile picture here. So whenever his camera isn't on, that's where you're going to see that QR code. And then when his camera is on, you could see in his background there that they just added that QR code to that specific picture there. And then I kind of wanted to elaborate on Ryan's kind of point here as well. Once Ryan send you guys over those photos and videos that you get from his media company there, you don't know how to upload it, right? Or you're having issues uploading it. Feel free to call us. We'll help you upload that
Yes,
as well
totally.
into your MLS and whatnot. Because again, a lot of you guys don't know how to interact with zip folders or like Google Drive and things
Yeah.
like that. So get somebody like us to on the phone there with you, remote in, and we can walk you through those steps as many times as you need. Or you could just call us and go, "Hey, I don't know how to do this. Help me, please." We
Carl,
get so rage. Oh, go ahead.
would we also assist them in like pointing them at where they could set up a QR code? Because I think generating a QR code is actually pretty simple.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of free QR code generators out there that you can, go and research. Like, please feel free to reach out to us if you need some suggestions. Yeah, I see Peter there saying Canva.
Yep.
Canva's a great one that does it. Absolutely. There are just some real specific, just like QR code. I don't know any off the top of my head, but I'm sure QRCodegenerator.com is a real website.
It
That
probably is.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
QR code generators like that where you can go. And the only thing I would say is, just be careful when you're using these QR codes, right? Because once you generate it, if you change that link or anything on it, you have to generate a new QR code, right? So for your
Mm.
business cards, your posters around the city, right? You probably want to make sure that QR code you're using here is going to be that same link it's going to, or else you're going to have to reprint everything. So that's the one negative I would say to QR codes. You just got to pay attention to and be careful about.
Yeah, that's great. And just to go back, I mean, setting your QR code as your profile picture is literally just as easy as I'm going to turn my video off and you can see it's just that photo right there. It's a QR code and instead of my smiling face. So that's it. One more quick question. So does Tech Helpline have any primers or step-by-step guides for FAQs? That's a great question, and thank you for that. We get such an array of questions from folks around the country that at this time we don't, but it is something that has been on our radar. In addition to after hours AI support on our top call generators. So that is something that's in our development team's pipeline, where we will provide some very limited support for the top call generators after hours using an in-house built AI tool. So it'll be very specific and answers will be provided in the way in which our team would provide them. So that is coming in the future. But I do, appreciate the FAQ thought process. And I think when we have muddled with this idea in the past, we sort of keep coming back to, the answers. Because the answers are so specific to the device, the browser. I mean, there are so many nuances to the answers. It's almost difficult to come up with FAQs without writing a complete novel
It,
on
it,
them.
it's a tech universe, and we
Yes.
truly mean universe, right? You
Yeah.
know, how many stars are out there, right? You
Hmm.
know, it really is that how tech feels and the amount of combinations and issues that can happen on these different devices. There's an unlimited range of possibilities almost. And
Hmm.
that's what we try to tell people. It's very tough to put these hard guidelines in when the technology is going to change a year from now, 2 years from now.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely, Carl. So, to close out, Lisa, thank you again for the opportunity. Everyone at the association, thanks for giving us a chance. And honestly, thank you for being such long-term clients. I have really loved working with your association for so long. I'm the one that brought y'all on board, and I have a soft spot in my heart for you. We appreciate you all so, so much, and
Yeah.
we hope you give us a call.
Yeah, thank you, both of you, and Hila. Thank all three of you so much. Again, one of my favorite benefits as a member, and please, share it with the people in your office. And again, this has been recorded, and it will be available to all members, and it will also be on our website. So, thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your summer. And I'll be talking to you soon, Carl, probably.
Talk to you
Yes,
soon,
give
Lisa.
us a call,
Thanks.
Lisa.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye bye.